I want to play a clip here to ask a question about why some young men are not getting married. Do you guys know Professor Galloway? Mm-hmm. So that's Professor Galloway, and the guy on the bottom was a hardcore soldier in a big war called Tropic Thunder. Who was like a very, very like a legit guy, and he works out hardcore. He had a nice gym. What was the gym called, Rob, in the dodgeball gym?
Yeah.
You know what the gym?
Average Joe's.
Joe's, yeah.
Or no, Mega Gym or something.
By the way, do you know the girl in a movie that he pumps himself to make himself look bigger? You know that girl in a movie that ends up dating Vince Vaughn in a movie? That's his wife.
Really?
It's his real-life wife.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, this guy's apparently very close with Tom Cruise and a bunch of other guys. But here's Professor Galloway talking about marriage is the new luxury item. Folks, do you agree? Rob, can you run a poll on this? Go for it.
60% of 30-year-olds used to have at least one child 40 years ago. Now it's 27%. They can't afford to. And also, when you have a lot of young men who aren't economically viable, we don't like to have an honest conversation about mating. Men mate socioeconomically, horizontally and down, women horizontally and up. Beyonce could work at McDonald's and marry Jay-Z. The opposite is not true. 75% of women say economic viability is key to a mate, only 25% of men. So when men are not doing well economically, we have an absence of mating. We have an absence of what is the opportunity to do the most rewarding thing in the world, and that is build a family where you get to that point of building something with someone else. It's tough on women, but it is absolutely disastrous for men. It just makes me very upset and rattled to think that the most rewarding thing in my life is effectively off limits. Marriage is a new luxury item. 4/5 of people in the top quintile of income-earning households get married. Only 1 in 5 men in the lowest quintile ever have an opportunity to mate. Only 80% of women have reproduced in our species on the planet, only 40% of men. Women are disproportionately and unfairly evaluated on their aesthetics. Men are unfairly and disproportionately evaluated on their economic viability. And a society collapses on itself because those men get angry, and the most dangerous person in the world is a lonely, broke young man.
There you go. There you go. My dad would say that all the time. Tom, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, we're not here to promote anybody, but Prof G has written a couple very interesting papers on this that I think both Pat and I agree with, and he's broken down the stats exactly as he's talking there. You know, what we need is, you know, this isn't something you can change at the voting booth. This isn't something that you can change overnight. We need a viable, thriving economy that is building the kind of jobs so these men are employed and are attractive mates. Because what I said about women is true. It's not just these, you know, so-called super aesthetic women that are marrying the rich guys. There's women out there that want a stable, honest, clean guy to have a life with. And when guys are all by themselves, as Prof G said, you're in your bedroom all by yourself playing video games, isolationist, you know, the online world is your world. You're not building yourself socially, and then never mind, you go out to find a job, and in certain areas you can't. You know, we need the economy to be booming so that people have jobs. And guess what? With the job comes pride and self-esteem, good pride and self-esteem and attractiveness. And guess what? You find women that are attracted to that. You have kids, and you build the strength and fabric of the country that values all those things. But you got to do it one step at a time, and you got to do what you can do to reach across and encourage and help people, you know, raise up. And that's where my heart is. When I say I leave people better than you found them, that's what I try to do. When I say that I'm always willing to talk to people about how do you find a way up, that's what I'm trying to do. That's me.
Jeff?
I'm going to go back to college here. What did men do long before everybody had to go to college? What kind of jobs did they end up gravitating toward? Yes, there are not as many of those as there used to be.
Farmers, construction, hands,
Exactly.
plumber.
Right. And so what we did as a society is deviate and rechannel a lot of that effort into what goes on in colleges these days. Unproductive uses. It's the old Austrian economic term, malinvestment. We're malinvesting in our human stock by forcing people to go to college when they should be doing something else. That's not the only reason. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying that's the sole answer here, but that's part of the problem here is we're we've overestimated the value of college education, and maybe there was a time when that was the case, where college education actually did build up the intellectual stock of the labor force. But that ship has sailed. That passed a long time ago. Now we just mass produce all of these people into college, and we don't give them productive skills. In fact, we give them, they end up being lost at the end. They end up overburdened with debt. They're lost. They have no real idea of where they're going, and they don't really have any productive skills that can be used to build a career and therefore a family. So, yeah, I'm going to demonize college again.
And we allowed them to go into debt getting our history degree.
We encourage them to. That's the thing. The incentive structure is you have to go to college. If you don't go to college, you'll be left behind.
And there's no underwriting qualification because that university that had that student loan partner immediately sold it to the processors at the U.S. government.
But it's all backwards.
There was no risk. There was no risk. You know, you think the mortgage crisis was bad because they weren't underwriting and they were doing Nina loans and stuff. That is nothing compared to, the shit that the student loan processors, do after the fact on payments, but that the student loan providers do with no thought to the underwriting and what you're doing to these kids. Now, you signed on the line for that car payment. You got that high car payment. The individual has to be accountable for their actions. They are, and I'm against student loan forgiveness. But they don't have the information. But there are drug pushers in the registrar's office that are pushing these student loan options. No, don't drop off and you don't change your major. Just sign here.
But most college kids don't have the information to make informed decisions. Number one, their parents don't tell them. Their schools are incentivized to push them off into college. That's the case. And nobody tells them, if you go to this school, your expected net earnings over your lifetime is going to be X. Everybody thinks it's huge. If I go to college, I'm going to be rich. Because once upon a time, there was a differentiation where if you did go to college, you ended up in the top end of the income spectrum. But that's a long time ago. So people don't realize that they're actually going in the wrong direction by going to school. They're getting worse off. Their future net worth is going down. And that's partly to blame of what we're seeing, what we just talked about here with the lack of family.
When you go in to get a car loan, by law, there is a square that is in the middle of the page, 1/3 of the way from the top, and it is the total of all these payments. When you sign for a car loan, by law, they have to tell you that. By the way, here's the information. There's your payment. There's your rate. There's your paying for the car. And there's the TOP, total of payments. Not all together there, right on a line, right there, have to be shown. That's not the case. When you get to the student loans. So it's their fault for not thinking, I'm getting a $300,000 student loan. Am I going to make $300,000 extra over 10 years to pay this back? Maybe if I'm a cardiologist, or
but
something.
They've been told yes. They've been told the answer is yes. Go to school, take out the debt. It doesn't matter because when you come out the other side with a degree, you're going to make X more money than you do.
I know they've been told. I'm saying it's a tragedy, but I'm
No.
also saying there's personal responsibility signing that paper.
Sure.
Yeah. And I think it's more than
Tom
that.
rarely says shit. The only thing I ask of you, Tom, next time you're going to say that, just say earmuffs, give it a second, then drop it. Go ahead, Brian.
I'm sorry, I effed up.
I think it's a little bit more than that too. I think that there's just not enough urgency amongst people because ultimately, like only 20% of people I think are motivated, like exceptional people, and then 80% of people are just like less motivated, unexceptional people, and that's the way it's always been. And no matter how much people want something, it's going to be less people than the majority that like do everything possible to improve their situation to be at the top echelon of society. I mean, and it's. I think there's something to be hopeful for guys. Like I sent Rob this chart here because it shows that most of the time like guys don't even appear most attractive until they turn 35. So this shows like when girls are considered like the most appealing and when guys are considered most appealing. So like girls peak at age about 23 in terms of like they call it sexual market value, and then guys peak around age 35 because that's when they come into like their physical and financial prime. So it's probably a lonely place for guys that are in their early 20s because the girls at that age seem like way out of their league and don't have any interest in them. But if you do put all of your energy into improving yourself financially and like physically and all that, then I think you're going to be in a better position than if you just mope about it.
I don't know. I think 47 is still peak. So I don't appreciate whoever did this chart.
For certain people.
I'm not a fan of this, but
no, it's not. It's so women peak at the boob on the left there at 23, and then the boob on the right at 43 men peak. So
30
they're 20 years
36.
Those
apart.
look more like knees bent than they do boobs. If your boobs look like that, that's a weapon, Tom.
Well,
Rob,
remember, we were in LA where 86% of the boobs were not real.
yeah, but that's a terrible doctor. Like, that guy should get fined. That doctor should be like, I want to read his Yelp reviews because there's complaints.
Have you walked down the beach in Venice?
No, Tom, I don't know which beach you go to. We don't go to nude beaches. Rob, can you go back to the other chart that you had about swipe rights?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Randall.
So that has nothing to do with money, by the way. So, that whole article from Scott Galloway, he was saying it's because of money only. No, it's also because of looks. Like, this is just purely looks. Nobody knows how much money anybody's making on Tinder. And this shows that guys, they swipe right on 52% of women they see on Tinder, swipe left on 40%, 7%. Then women, they swipe right on only 3% of guys they see on Tinder, and then swipe left, meaning they say no to 95% of guys they see on Tinder. So women are just like much more selective based off like visuals and first impression than guys are. So there's more than one factor. It's like not just finances, but yeah, the financial thing's definitely a thing. The cost of living, we've talked about to death. That's a problem, but it's like it's not like a huge amount of motivated people that are like willing to do anything to get themselves out of that situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, the question, is marriage worth it? The poll, here's what people are saying. Rob, it's a luxury item. This is what people said. 2,200 people voted. Do you agree with Galloway that marriage is the new luxury item? Yes. 43% said no, okay? The reality of it is very expensive to get married today, okay? Very. But I will tell you, you can buy a lot of things. You can travel, you can party, you can have fun. One of the main purpose of being a human being is to procreate. And I don't mean the exercise of it. Go at it. I'm talking about the actual idea of a kid that calls you and says, Dad, where are you? Daughter calls you and says, Dad, when are you coming home? I run home, Brooklyn runs to me, and she puts her feet around my back and hugs and puts her cheek against the cheek. All the money in the world, you don't even think about it. You don't think about the success. You don't think about your following. You don't think about the money in the bank account, the investments, the people that called you. You don't think about any of that stuff. You just think family. And to not experience that as an individual, it's a travesty because it's a God-given tool, God-given gift given to us to do something with that, and to see that kid grow into somebody later on who independently, their dreams are becoming a reality. They're figuring life out, and you always have these people that are walking around with your pain, your thoughts are with them. It's priceless. If you can find a way to do it, I'm not telling you to find a closest person near to you and go make a baby with them right now. You shouldn't. You got to choose that properly. Making a baby with the wrong person could be, crazy as well. New Year's is around the corner. 2026 is going to be here like this. And for us, we had our off-site meeting yesterday at Ritz Fort Lauderdale, which I'll tell you later on. But every year before we get into a new year, we have a long strategy session. Yesterday started at 7:30. We ended at 8:45. The best meeting ever. We've never had a meeting where this many strategies was shared and the plans of what we're doing going into 2026 with all our 9 business units. But the question is, for you going into 2026, how ready you are. A lot of people asking and said, hey, how did this whole thing get started, this whole YouTube thing? Was it accidental? Was it intentional? Was there a strategy behind it? I want you to watch this video, and then you'll see what I'm talking about in regards to December 12th. Go ahead, Rob. So in 2013, we started a YouTube channel called Valuetainment. In the first year, Valuetainment got 167,000 views. That's it. And we were ecstatic. The next 10 years, total, we got 491 million views in 10 years. You know how many we got last year? 1 billion views. You know how many we got last quarter? Last quarter alone, all social media and our YouTube channels combined, YouTube is 700 million. Social is 900 million. Combined, nearly 1.6 billion just last quarter. Why? Because every single year, we would plan for the following year. And I would watch everybody say, well, I don't need this. Every year we would pay to see how we can make our YouTube channel tighter, data, stats, all of that. If you're watching this, you said, man, I want to be able to plan for next year as well. Fantastic. December 12th, I do an event every year called the Business Planning Workshop. If you haven't yet registered, click on our link below, get registered. I'm going to share with you our numbers, what we're going to be doing, and you'll be able to apply it for your business plan as well. I look forward to seeing you there. There you go. Everything comes down to a plan. If you haven't yet registered, December 12th, go to the link below, get registered. Let's spend an entire day together. People from around the world are going to be on. There's going to be tens of thousands of people on. Companies are sitting and watching the whole thing with their employees and their sales team. Go to bpw.bedavidconsulting.com to register or click on the link below. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.